Hello, we are back to the Steven now with the second part of the Batman 66 TV show review. Now, this is the second part in the first two-parter to the series, and it is smack in the middle. Now, if you notice with the episodes that are usually like a two-parter, usually the episodes rhyme. It's a little gimmick, like the first one was Hi Diddle Diddle, this one smack in the middle. And yeah, this is what I want to do. I'll review the first part, then I'll review the second part. But first, let's get into the actual plot of the episode. Yeah, the episode begins with a recap of the previous episode, with the narration done by William Dozer, the same producer of the show. He would do the narrations for essentially the whole series and even the movie. And here we're basically kept up to date with what happened in the previous episode, and we get to the cliffhanger that we were reminded what happened in the episode, and that is, of course, Robin being kidnapped by the Riddler and his goons, and basically crew, and we don't know what they're gonna do to him. That's the cliffhanger, as he's tied up and we don't know what's about to happen. Then, of course, as we actually jump into the episode after we get through the opening credits with the Batman theme song, here we find out what's been going on. Batman and the police department have been trying to find out what the hell happened to Robin. Where is he? And yeah, then we then get a jump cut to what Jonah the Riddler's been doing. He's been making this mask mold of Robin, gives it to Molly, tells her to get dressed. Okay. Then of course Riddler, of course, gives a phone call to Batman, and which is essentially the police department. Then the police department calls Batman, and we're given the two riddles, which is of course what was Joan of Arc made of? What kind of pins are used in soup? That's where you'll find them. Batman solves it, goes after. We then find out that what Riddler was doing was essentially making a mask for Molly to wear to look like Robin and dress up in Robin's costume as a sort of grand ploy to essentially kill Batman before he and his crew can go and complete the crime. And of course, that bit happens. Of course, Batman would later foil that attempt and immediately track down the Riddler's location, his hideout. And after that, he manages to get there, manages to rescue Robin just before, just before something bad was about to happen to him. But sadly, he was not in time to get Riddler. And of course, Riddler and his crew quickly run away. But Robin had been pretending to be knocked out and hearing certain things what they've been saying, such as certain riddles, such as which president wore the biggest hat and how many sides are in a circle. Robin deduces from those riddles that they must be at a Gotham City National Bank. But Batman thinks differently. It is the big mammoth of Moldavia. Basically, it's this giant mammoth with priceless stamps inside and jewels on the outside. Then, of course, they quickly get there, and the classic Batman fight breaks out. Something that the series is known for. These choreographs, it's silly, it's action-packed, the words on the screen with the pow, bam, zap, all that. And, of course, it ends with them being victorious. They defeat Riddler and his crew. No, his crew, but Riddler, believe it or not, escapes and is presumed dead. Of course, they couldn't find the body. And yeah, and the episode ends with essentially Batman feeling a little bit guilty of what happened in the episode, which we'll get to later in the review, but also cheering up Robin that they may have not got Riddler, but they did prevent his crew from stealing the mammoth. Automatically, and it just ends on a happy note. And of course, at the end of the episode, we reveal that the villain for next week will be Batman going up against the Penguin, which of course we'll get to when we review that next week. And of course, the cast pretty much stays the same for this episode. Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon return, played by Neil Hamilton and Stafford Reggie. Of course, Batman, Robin, played by Adam West and Burt Ward, who of course play, Bruce Wayne, Batman, or Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. And of course, we have Alan Napier as Alfred, and of course, Aunt Harriet, who we know who plays her. The cast returned, and they still continued the same performance as they did in the last one, in the last episode. Really, nothing has changed from that two-parter. Same goes with Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. He still has not changed at all from his two-parter. I do think we get to see more seriousness here. His split where he becomes more psychotic, really. Really, we get to see more in this two-parter. Really, that's the big thing. Another thing I also want to point out in this is something that just gives my gripes here. Now, again, I'm not saying he does a bad performance at all. I'm not saying that, but he does some things that is more associated with the Joker, such as his comedy routine, and of course using laughing gas to essentially knock out the patrons. Now, why is this bad? Well, first off, those are Joker things, not Riddler. And this is really where people can sometimes confuse the characters and consider that they're the same. They are not. But I understand why, because really, Frank Gorshin was a stand-up comedian and impersonator. This was what he was known for before he got into acting gigs. So yeah, I can't really blame for the producers or even the show wanting to do that. Also got to admit, another thing I liked is how the episode ends with this character. He's not apprehended. He's either presumed dead or escapes. This is a really good thing I liked with what they went with. Because if they did, he just got axed or killed, first off, then that character would be done. If they got arrested, well, okay, would that work? But escape is just something that just doesn't happen anymore. Especially in the show, the villains always got apprehended at the end of their two-parter. This was something different, and I was surprised that it happened in the first two-parter. So I really give credit for that. I also just like again, Frank Gorshin doesn't really change how he did the performance from his first parter into his second parter, And the only thing we did was just get to see more menace and more psychoticness than we've ever seen. And yeah, and of course he does some goofy things. It is what you expect. It is the 60 TV show, but I just think that hands down, Frank Gorshin will forever be one of the greatest interpretations of the Riddler, and no one will come close to even surpassing him. Jill St. John here, of course, is still eye candy, but I like how, unlike other eye candies, she at least feels more integral to the story, and how her character ends though is pretty tragic. Basically, it's as the trap to kill Batman basically happens as there's this car crash, and of course Batman rescues who he thinks is Robin, takes him to the Batcave. It's then revealed to be Molly, and Batman tells how he found out is because of the holes that they used to breathe through. He managed to spot that instantly through the mask, which I find funny, because how is the real question. And of course tries to kill Batman, but the bullets are now out of the gun because he's used some bat device. It then results in her trying to run away, and Batman tries to save her from falling into the Batmobile nuclear power source and falls to her death. Already dark, right there. Did not expect that from the 60s TV show. And Adam West's line is just cracked me up a little bit in a dark way. Now, Batman also felt guilty for her death. At the end of the episode, I felt was still in character, because again, Batman doesn't like killing his villains. He wants to apprehend them. Yeah.
Where's my boy? Come here,
again, the majority of when they have like the villains have these like female accomplices, they're usually for eye candy, nothing more. But at least I can admit with this one, at least it plays a lot of integrity to the story. Here, a lot of the like some stuff that have become more associated with Batman for the series really came here. I think this was arguably now, like I said, this was probably like where the holy smoke really came in, like Roman saying holy. Now again, he did say it in the previous episode, but here I just feel that's just more associated with this. This is where it really happened. The bat fight, like I said, and at the end of the episode, they will reveal who the next villain will be for next week, and of course how they and yeah, that's essentially really where that came into play. Nothing really has changed much in the formula-wise. It's still the same, but they do slowly add stuff to the formula as they go along. But really, nothing has changed in this two-parter. And that's just it. There's really not much to say, really. And if you actually think about it, in the grand scheme things of how the show is, this is a good opening to the series, but at the same time, nothing hugely special really happens, if you get my drift. Not saying that they are terrible episodes, just saying that nothing just really huge happens. But I do really think this is these two parters are really good. They are really great. They introduce us to what we are going to see, and it's just great overall. And I'm really glad that this happened. That this two-parter was made and kicked off a series, kicked off Batman's popularity into the mainstream. And there you have it. That is the end of my the end of my review for Smack Batman 66 Smack in the Middle. Like I said, this is a really good two-parter and really kicked off the introduction to Batman to the mainstream. This was really great, and a lot of things where we hear of Batman come from these two-parters. The bat fight, the theme song, Holy Something, the Bat Climb, really came from these two-parters, and of course the Bat gadgets. But I also got to admit that some stuff happened here I did not expect from the series, such as Riddler escaping being captured at the end of the episode, something I was actually shocked to see, and the death of a character. Again, something different. Something I want to point out as we go through for the review of the seasons. Season 1 was very different compared to Season 2, in my opinion, and this is one of the greatest examples of just great, television, great television making right here. Tune us next week as we review the Penguin debut episode on the series. My Fine Feathered Finks, I believe that's the episode. So, until next time, from the Steven Hour, same Steven time, same Steven channel.